Yo, how are we doing, everybody? So today I want to talk about Gravity Circuit. This game is super cool. It reminds me a lot of Mega Man X. We've had a few games trying to emulate Mega Man X with like Shovel Knight, Azure Striker Gunvolt, and Mighty Number 9. But I think this game definitely does it the best as far as the X series goes. And there's quite a few reasons for that, but to start off, I want to talk about the presentation, which does remind me of Mega Man Extreme, like the Mega Man X games on Game Boy Color, as it has a more contained palette. Like, it depends on the level, but you're generally only going to see like a few colors. Like in the intro level, it's a lot of blue, purple, green. It's all really stained, mostly with those few colors, which allows Kai to like really pop out with his red. And I do appreciate that. Like, I just enjoy how this very much feels like a game I could have picked up at like Toys R Us or Target and gotten for the Game Boy Color. Though, that being said, this game plays so much more like a Super Nintendo game, as everything's like very, very responsive. There's multiple abilities you're able to perform at like any given time, compared to like the Game Boy that just had like the A and B button. The presentation, though, I think it is very, very nice. The fact that there's so much animation with these sprites feels very good and allows me to really see that, even though it does feel very similar to Game Boy Color, like, no, this is absolutely a modern game that released in 2023. There's some very interesting animations. Like, some things are a bit stunted. I don't know if that's the right word, but these are robot characters. So when we see Kai, it's very fluid. Like, this robot is able to like run around. He's dashing around, jumping, flipping. He can even do some interesting wrestling moves if you unlock those. But yeah, there's a lot of motion with him. But then you have other characters that are a bit more robotic. They're a bit more stilted in how they present themselves, which is fair, as you're fighting against the virus army. So these are robots that don't really have their own faculties. So they're definitely a bit more... they don't have as many frames of animation. I think it fits. With that being said, I do want to go into the story, which definitely reminds me a lot of Mega Man X. So essentially, there is this robot civilization. They have these bustling towns. It's all peaceful. Robots, bringing in this new era of prosperity. Or, I guess always the era of prosperity. We don't really know too much of what's going on in the past when the game first starts. But it does let us know that there was this war against the virus army, all these robots that don't seem to have their own faculties, that are very mindless. And we have the 9 circuits, these very special heroic robots that defend robot society from the virus army. Unfortunately, the circuits do all fall in this war. But peace is, we do find peace. Many years pass. I don't think they say exactly how long, but eventually the virus army unfortunately does reappear. And with that, thankfully, at least one of the circuits does as well, the gravity circuit. And so he does his best to help everyone, but he can't seem to remember his own past. Now, I don't really want to go too much into the story. I'm just going to say all the stuff that we're really just seeing in the opening, like turning on the game, and some of the stuff you see in the intro level. But yeah, this game does have you fighting against the other 8 circuits, as you know, something seems to be happening with this virus army. Gravity doesn't really understand why, but yeah, these 8 circuits, it's very similar to the 8 Mavericks in like a Mega Man X game, or the 8 Robot Masters in the classic Mega Man series. So I definitely enjoy that connection. Like, this game is not trying hard at all to hide the fact that it is very similar to Mega Man X. As far as the game feels, I think that is how it connects to Mega Man X the best. Like, as soon as I started this game, I was just pressing the buttons, trying to figure out what they do. And everything's so responsive. Like, you have a jump button, a shoot button, a running button, very similar to the dash in Mega Man X, and then a hookshot button, which I thought was really cool. There's also some abilities you can use that you can map to one of your buttons as well, but you don't start with those. You have to unlock them as you go. But just those base abilities that you start off with, they're really, really nice. The dash, though, or the run ability, I should say, while it is very similar to X, it is different in the fact that you don't have to repeatedly press the dash button. You can just hold down the run button and you will continuously run throughout that entire duration as long as nothing's getting in your way. And just like Mega Man X, if you jump out of that run, you carry that momentum into your jump. So you're able to jump over very large gaps as long as you're doing that out of the run. And it just feels so fluid. It feels so nice. It really reminds me of the early X games that took that momentum very seriously. And same thing with the hook shot. If you are running into, like doing a running jump into using the hook shot, you will just slingshot forward, which just feels really, really good. So there's a lot of control you have over the gravity circuit, how you're able to interact with the level, with all the levels, and I think that's very, very cool. I've played quite a few different like Mega Man like games, and with a lot of them, that's usually my big problem, is either A, like there's just no momentum going into your jumps or different abilities, or B, it's like due to how mobility works, you can just continuously use this like one dash ability, and there's no real synergy between the abilities. The synergy in what you can do in Gravity Circuit is really what I enjoy the most. And again, like, I don't want to spoil all the different abilities you can unlock, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting abilities in this game as you progress through the levels. Which, yeah, I think that's something else I would like to mention real quick, is that again, like Mega Man X, there's a lot of secrets you can find. I won't go into what those are, but yeah, with each level, you can expect to find like 9 different secrets, all hidden throughout different areas in the level, so you really need to pay attention as you're going through. If you're just running and jumping at full speed, not paying attention to the background, you're probably going to miss out on a lot. Mind you, you don't need these unlockable abilities. You can go through the game just fine, which again is very similar to Mega Man X. You don't need like all the heart containers, you don't need all the sub tanks. It definitely makes the game a lot easier if you do. And yeah, that's definitely the difficulty. That's something you want to pay attention to, because starting off, I don't think the game's too bad. Like intro level, very introductory, it's not going to throw anything too crazy at you. But when it comes to boss fights, the boss fights in this game, they are not gentle. It is different than Mega Man X, at least as far as I could tell. There's no real weaknesses for the different circuits that you fight. It's really, they all just have their own patterns, and there might be certain abilities that work a little bit better as far as how you're interacting with those enemy patterns, but you're not going to be dealing like crazy damage, and they're going to be not moving at all, like say Spark Mandrill in Mega Man X, where you could just continuously shoot with the ice shotgun. No, you have to think a little bit harder about how you're going to do these boss fights, and I really do appreciate that. And then just as you would expect with a Mega Man X game, once you defeat the 8 circuits, there's going to be the ending levels, and the ending levels are a huge increase in difficulty. So definitely want to be prepared for that. The 8 levels themselves, the 8 circuit levels, they do vary quite a bit, which again is very similar to like all the X games. It's just the classics games that like separated, I think it was like, yeah, Mega Man 7 and Mega Man 8, where you would have the first 4 and then the later 4. But no, these 8 circuit levels, like I would say there's maybe like 2 levels I think that like aren't too bad. But yeah, like you should expect everything to be pretty challenging. Like this game, to me anyways, definitely feels like it expects you to have played a Mega Man game before. That being said, the game is not punishing. So even though things are definitely on the they're pretty challenging, like say you're having a lot of difficulty with like a certain section with like a lot of spikes, you're not going to instantly die running into some spikes like you would in Mega Man X. Instead, you take a set amount of damage, and I think that's pretty cool, as you know, it allows for you to make some mistakes. And also very interesting is there is this brief period of invincibility. So if like say, you know, you're trying to do a jump, you accidentally land into those spikes and the checkpoint happens to be right there, if you fall into those same spikes again doing that same jump, you probably won't take any damage depending on how fast you did it. So there's a nice grace period here. And then say you do completely die, then no, like you're good to go. Like you pop right back up at that checkpoint. There is like, you lose a little bit of this game's currency, but it's very minimal. It's not really something you're going to notice at all. And yeah, you can just jump back into it. Like there's no getting a game over. You can die like 30 times in the same level and you're good. Like you will continuously pop up at that checkpoint. And this game's pretty good about checkpoints. There's quite a few of them. It reminds me more of like Shovel Knight compared to like the original Mega Man X. As Mega Man X, I think most of its levels would typically only have like 2 to 3 checkpoints, especially in the earlier games. So it could definitely be rough if you were having some difficulty falling into pits. Which again, yeah, same in this game. If you fall into pits, you just take a certain amount of damage. You don't outright die. And also, yeah, like when you're falling into these pits, you don't go back to the checkpoint, actually. You pop up in the nearest spot that's like safe. The game can be a little awkward about what it considers to be that safe spot, but for the most part, you don't lose any ground. And I think that's really nice. It allows the game to be challenging without being frustrating. I think this game does a very, very good job in that aspect. But yeah, that said, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about Gravity Circuit. I think this game is super cool. It is absolutely worth the price. It's not a very long game, but I think it has a lot of replayability. It has an extra mode you can unlock. It has New Game Plus, and there's a lot of fun abilities to try out. This game has a scoring system. Beat the levels, you know, do better than you did before. I think this game is very good for speedrunning due to the momentum and the abilities that you unlock. It feels like there's a lot of meaningful decisions for making this game very speedrun friendly, and I vastly appreciate that as someone who does speedrun Mega Man X games, a little bit of Sonic as well. And yeah, it's nice to see developers thinking about us. But yeah, either way, that's going to be me. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know. Leave a like, a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. I do plan on doing a few more videos on this game in particular, and anything similar to like Mega Man, Mario, basically those early like 90s platformers that I really love. But yeah, peace.